Hello, children. Today I have got a few important questions for you um, related to the chapter water resources. Okay, and in this chapter, as we are very close to the board exams, just a few days left. Okay, so I'm going to actually record a few videos in which I will try to give some important questions related to different topics. Okay. Now, this is regarding water resources. And please try to go through all these questions, right? I have tried to cover the entire chapter. So if you go through this video, I am sure that you are going to cover at least this chapter very well. Okay, just you can have one more way you can do actually your preparation. Suppose you have covered the entire chapter, just go through these questions so that you will have a quick revision of that. Okay, after these questions you go through, after that I will provide a few MCQs also. So till that time, just go through these questions fast. Okay, let's start with it. Number one is answer the following questions. What do you mean by irrigation? This is an important question, related to irrigation. Many times the questions have come in the board exams. Okay, so what is meant by that? The answer is the man made arrangements of supplying water to the fields are known as irrigation. Okay, any means of, you can say artificially, when we provide water supply to the fields, right, for growing certain crops and all, so that is actually called irrigation. Okay, next is name one state where tank irrigation is important. Give three disadvantages of tank irrigation. Now, Tamil Nadu or any of the states which are there in the, you can say the southern region, the peninsula region, you can take any of such states, right? Tamil Nadu is one of the best examples. Okay, what are the disadvantages of tanks? Number one is that they occupy large areas of land which could be used for cultivation purpose. Yes, because that is an area which is an important part of the cultivable land, right? So that area, somehow that area is not being used for growing crops. Okay, so that is actually, in this way, it is taken as one disadvantage of it. Number two is that there is also a lot of evaporation because the surface area of that the tank, right, the water which is exposed in the tank is actually for evaporation. It is, you can say, always the loss of water is too much in that way, right? So because of a large surface area which is there, the evaporation is too high in that case. So that is again one drawback, or you can say the disadvantage in the case of tanks. Then construction of tanks, it requires much expenditure, especially when we are constructing such tanks in those areas which are not rocky areas, right? So for construction, we need to have a cemented base and all that. So that the seepage of water will not be there. So many such things are required, and that actually needs a lot of expense. Okay, so that is why it is said that construction requires a lot of expenditure. Clear? Now, next question is what is meant by rainwater harvesting? Rainwater harvesting is basically, you can say, this is a method in which the rainwater is captured. Okay. Otherwise, if you see in general, what happens whenever rainfall is there, maximum water goes waste. Okay, so rainwater harvesting is a method, it is a technique in which we are collecting that rainwater, okay, and that water is used, it is actually stored, right? And this stored water is afterwards used for different purposes, like for our daily use, right? That is one thing. and in different ways, you can say for gardening and for washing clothes and all. And number two, again, one important part of it is that it is also used to recharge the ground water table, right? Underground water table is actually a source by which we are getting the supply of underground water. So once it is recharged, right? So again, whatever water level has gone down, it is again given back. It is again recharged in this way through the rainwater. Otherwise, little bit of it would have actually gone to the water table. Rest of it just goes waste. Okay, so this is how we can get the twin benefit of it. Number one is that the storage of that water is actually used, the stored water in that way is used for different purposes. And number two is that for recharging the groundwater. Okay, underground water table, you can say other way. Now, this is actually called the rainwater harvesting. Now, what is canal? Why is canal irrigation more popular in northern India? Now just think of it. Why number of canals you'll find, especially in the northern plains, if you talk about Punjab, Haryana, Western UP, even the Bihar and all, you'll find several canals are there, right? What is so important? What makes it so important, so popular in the northern plains? So for that, you just think of it. For construction of canals, what is required? It actually, because it covers a large area, it passes through a large cultivable area. Okay, so it needs a flat surface. Number one requirement, which is there in the northern plains. Northern plains are a vast, you can say, flat surface area, right? So number one is the land area it needs is should be a flat surface. Number two, soft soil should be there so that it can easily be dug, right? For digging and for the construction purpose, the soft soil helps in it. If it is rocky surface, suppose, in that also canal can be constructed. It's not that we are not able to do it, but yes, it is going to have a lot of expense. Okay, a lot of expense will be there. So to avoid that, we always prefer to construct canals in those areas which are actually made up of soft soil, which is there in the northern plains again. Okay. Number three, the rivers are perennial. In the northern plains, you'll find all rivers which are coming from the Himalayas. These rivers are the perennial rivers. Okay, these perennial means which have water throughout the year. They don't only carry the water by rainfall, but they also have water by the melting of snow or the glaciers, right? So that's why these are all called the perennial rivers, and they are the source by actually for providing water in constant water is supplied in the canals. Okay, so this is again one point which is in favor of that. Number three is that the demand for irrigation is very great, because you all know it very well, the northern plains are used for agriculture purpose. So naturally, irrigation, if we are talking of that, that means it is related to the agriculture, right? So for cultivation or for agriculture purpose, we need a lot of water, and here the canals fulfill this requirement. Okay, because northern India has actually a vast agricultural land, and which is generally used for growing different type of crops. So for that purpose, the canals provide, um, you can say, proper conditions are actually available for the canals to be developed. Then next is what is garden water saver diverter. This is also, in short, it is called as GWS. What advantage does it have over other rainwater harvesting devices? It is actually a downspout. Okay, rainwater diverter, which simplifies the collection of rainwater. It has advantages over other rainwater collection systems in that it is installed in minutes. Okay, and again, it gets actually, when we don't need it to continue, it deactivates in seconds. Okay, so this is very easy to handle. As it is kept underground or in low visibility locations, more containers can be added or filled by simply moving a hose pipe during winters. So actually, this is one of the methods, uh, or you can say the devices which are used to make it easy. Okay, and it is quite fast also. So it is better than any other devices. Now, what is the purpose of the float switch in the super rainwater system? Again, it is related to the rainwater harvesting. The float switch is an innovative device mounted on the tank, okay, which automatically controls the water supply. If rainwater tank is full, it will automatically pump the rainwater for use in the garden or washing machine or any other area where it is required. So if the rainwater tank is empty or when there is a dry spell and water in the tank falls to the minimum level, the floating switch triggers the use of the normal mains water. So this is how it works, right? Now, next is mention two advantages of rainwater harvesting. Now, two advantages of rainwater harvesting are, just now in the earlier part I told you, recharge of groundwater, and number two is conservation of water. It also reduces the surface runoff. Okay, so these are the advantages of it. The next is mentioned two advantages that surface wells have over inundation canals. On one side it is wells, the other side it is inundation canals. Now, wells are an independent source of irrigation. Okay, it may be used as and when it is required, right? So whenever it is required, there it can be dug and it can be used. Wells are the simplest and the cheapest source of irrigation, and especially in the northern plains, it can be dug at any convenient place, right? Because we are having sufficient groundwater table also, and soft soil is there, so it can be dug anywhere. And on the other side, inundation canals are floodwater canals. Okay, these are also known by this name, floodwater canals. The reason is that because they only carry water during the floods, right? And in the month when the rainy season is there, during that time these canals are useful. So just think of it, these canals are useful when we are already getting water by rains, right? That is why this becomes less important for the northern plains especially, right? Now come to next question. Next question is, name two states in which tube wells are extensively used. Give a reason to explain its importance as a source of irrigation. Tube wells are extensively used in especially Punjab, Haryana, Western UP and all, right? Because the land is soft, okay, it can easily be established. And moreover, constant availability of electric power is there, electricity is there, which is again one requirement for the tube wells. Okay. Next is give two advantages and one disadvantage that tube wells have over surface wells. Right? Tube wells do not result in evaporation of water like surface wells, because surface well is okay, fine, a small area is there, but still it is open, right? But tube wells are closed, so there is no evaporation at all in that case, and it irrigates always a larger area as compared to wells. This irrigates a larger area. Now, what about the disadvantage? Tube wells are only possible in areas where the groundwater level is not too low. Okay, so the power is needed to drain water. This is one thing. And additional one point you can add, that is tube wells are always very expensive, right? It is as compared to the wells, the tube wells need motor and some water electricity supply, or if not electricity, some fuel is required for to actually for the motor to work. So for that, actually it becomes more expensive, right? Where the wells don't need any such expense. Okay, so these are a few advantages and disadvantages of the tube wells. Now, where are tanks most widely used in India and why? Basically, for tank irrigation, just keep this in mind, children, that always the surface, if it is rocky, that is best suited for the tank irrigation. Okay, because half of the work is done. And that is why it is said that peninsular India consists of hard, impervious rocks, which is actually favorable for the storage of water. In several depressions which are there, these are used as natural tanks, where whenever rainfall is there, the water accumulates in that, and that forms a tank. Okay, so this is actually the reason why the tank irrigation is most popular in the southern or peninsular region. Moreover, you can add in this that the other means of irrigation are not so successful in the southern region or the peninsular region, because see, for construction of well, we need a soft soil, right? Water level should be high. For construction of canals, we need a flat surfaced area, and if it is soft soil, that is always helpful, which is not there in the case of peninsular region, right? For construction of, or you can say for the establishment of any tube wells and all, for that again we need a high water table. Okay, and through the rocky surface, if the for tube well it is drilled out, right, for to in search of water, so that again is going to add a lot of cost in that, and that will be more expensive. So as compared to all these, tank is much easy, right? And it is, that is why as compared to other means, this is most popular in the southern region. What are the favorable conditions in India for the development of irrigation? First of all, perennial rivers. Number of rivers are there in India which are actually perennial. So the water can be supplied in these canals, you can say a lot, right? Canals and all the various sources can be used in this way. Next is suitable spots for the construction of dams. Several such sites are there where the dams can be constructed. So along the Indian streams, there are many places suitable for construction of dams also. And these dams actually, or the embankments, actually carry a lot of water, and that helps in irrigation facilities to develop from there. Then inexhaustible store of underground water, because of a lot of sufficient amount of rainfall which continues here, and because of such a climate we are having, and because of the soft soil which actually absorbs a lot of water, that actually has made the underground water table to remain at a certain level. Okay, because it is quite high, and a large proportion of rainwater which actually is absorbed inside that keeps the level of groundwater table to actually remain at a certain height, and it never goes very low. Okay, so that is again in favor of the irrigation facilities, because if we talk about the wells, if we talk about the tube wells, ultimately we are using that the water which is there in the water table, okay, which is underground. So for that purpose, this helps. Okay, next is arable land is level. Arable lands in India are confined to the northern plains especially, and also parts of deltaic India, and which are quite level and flat surfaced and suitable for construction of canals and all, right? So these all are helpful in the development of irrigation facilities, right? Now next question is, um, what is the importance of irrigation in India? Now, related to this, children, the question has also come earlier. India being actually, we are having sufficient amount of rainfall also, and in spite of that, what is the need? Why still we need to develop certain irrigation facilities in India, right? And for that question, this answer will also work, right? Artificial irrigation has to be actually arranged in India. The reason for that is, number one, Indian rainfall, because we are dependent on the monsoon rainfall. Basically the source of rainfall is monsoon. Now monsoon rainfall has got certain a peculiar type of nature, Number one is it is periodic, right? Most of the rainfall which is received in India is during um the months of June to September, which we are getting rainfall by the southwest monsoons, right? So as compared to these months, the other months in the entire year remain almost dry. So if we are doing cultivation, if we are doing any agricultural activities, we need to arrange for water because the crops need water at different times. Okay, number one. Number two is that rainfall is not well distributed. Suppose during rainy season also, if we are talking of, these are not equally distributed throughout during that period. And along with that, the area also, suppose in one area you'll find one region, the rainfall is too heavy, the other region is getting just a little amount of it. So in that way also, we need to develop the various sources of irrigation. Then agricultural crops are varied. You'll find in India a number of different type of crops are grown in different parts of India. So requirements of water also varies according to the different type of crops. The requirement of water also differs. So on one side you can take the example of rice, you can take the example of sugarcane, and rice or the paddy, you can say, these, or the jute cultivation, these need a lot of water, right? As compared to that, if you talk about the sugarcane, tobacco, these are the crops which need actually constant supply of water at several intervals. They need water, right? And if you compare that with some other dry crops, dry farming, there very less water can do. Or if you talk about the millets and all, there very less water can do. So accordingly, we need to provide the irrigation facilities there. Okay, because it's not at all possible practically. Just think of it that whenever we need water for the crop, rainfall is there. It's not possible. So for that, we need to provide artificial irrigation. Okay, then ample supply of water is required during the period of growth of different crops. Okay, then next is India is a tropical country and evaporation is quite high. Okay, because of hot conditions. Then drought conditions are seen in India, right? In several areas, you'll find the rainfall is quite less, and that makes the somewhat drought-like conditions develop. So there again, we need to provide the irrigation facilities. Now, with reference to well irrigation, answer the following questions. Number one, name two states in which well irrigation is widely used. Yes, what can be there? Number one is Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, Bihar, all these. Any two states you can name. Then second question is name two types of wells used for irrigation in these states. Now, two types of wells, ordinary wells and tube wells. Okay. Then next question is give two advantages and two disadvantages of wells. Now, the two advantages of wells are basically, Mm, if you are talking about this one, the advantages are the wells are quite easy to dig, right? Then these are quite cheap also. And if you talk about the disadvantages, wells can irrigate a very small area, about half a hectare of land at one time. And in times of drought, if the wells are not very deep, they may get dry. So these are the disadvantages of it. Then next is what are the several methods applied for lifting water from wells? Several methods are used for lifting water, and especially prevailing methods are Persian wheel, then motte, and pitokin. All these are the different methods, right? Number one is that the Persian wheel, it is also known as rehat, okay, and is worked by bullocks, buffaloes, or camels. They actually are used in this. Okay, these animals are used for taking out water. Then mote is, it is also worked by bullocks moving up a sloping ramp to pull up a big leather bucket. Okay, Number three is picotin. In this device, a vertical pole is employed for balancing the bucket on one side and equivalent load fixed on either ends. So it is also known as denkuli. Okay, in local language, it is also known as denkuli. So these are the different methods to uh, for lifting water from the wells. Right. Next is two advantages of tube wells as a method of irrigation. What are the conditions necessary for tube wells? Number one, advantages required. Advantages for the tube wells are they can irrigate a larger area at once. Number two, they are definitely better in times of drought season, okay, drought condition, when most of the water sources, actually, water bodies get dry. If we talk about the wells, if wells are not so deep, they also may get dry during the drought season, drought period. Now next is the if we talk about the tube wells never get dry. Yes, if the pipes are reaching down deep to the permanent water table, they are going to provide water even during the drought period. Okay, so this is more reliable as compared to any other means of irrigation, especially during drought. Okay, next is the process of irrigation is quicker, right, and more convenient. It is more faster. Then, if we talk about the conditions required for the tube wells, for that, you can say, as we discussed in the earlier part, sufficient groundwater should be there. Okay, groundwater means the underground water should be there, present in it. Then, cheap electric power must be made available. If not electricity, then fuel is required for the motor to work. Then what are the demerits of canals? How to overcome these defects? Demerits are actually very strong in the case of canals. You can see number one is salt effervescence. The cultivators misuse canal water by over flooding the field. Okay, which leads to salt effervescence, which makes the soil infertile in the long run. The farmers have to actually, they need to be made aware about it. They need to be educated in the careful utilization of water, okay, especially when it is provided by canal. Next is waterlogging problem. This is again a serious problem which has rendered extensive area unfit for farming, right? Again, that entire area, it is, again, I'm reminding you one thing. The area we are talking of is a very fertile land which is used for agriculture purpose in India. And in that area, if the canal water is creating is actually causing all these problems, that is very serious. Okay, that is actually we have to be concerned for that. Okay, so if the water logging is there in that area, that is again going to cause problems. In what way? Water seepage towards the adjoining areas goes on, right? If the canals are totally unlined, unlined means it's not cemented, the surface is not cemented, then water constantly it seeps down, right, turning the entire nearby area to get converted into swamp, right? And for this purpose, what we can do is canals should be actually lined. Lined means it should be you can say it should be cemented, right, with brick and mortar along the embankments. Number two is that wells may be dug in waterlogged areas so that water may soak down into these wells, right? Then next step we can do here is swamps may be dried up by draining out the water with the aid of power driven pumps, but that again becomes very um, you can say expensive thing to do. Then gypsum can be used, which makes the soil fertile again, okay, in that area. So these are a few things which are being caused by canals, right? In spite of the fact that it is a big source of irrigation, but still these are the demerits of using canal for irrigation. Why should we save rainwater? What is the need to conserve water? For that, you should keep in mind one thing. Approximately 40% of the water used in summer is used outdoors, okay, for the garden, trees, and all. This is the period when water shortages occur, and cities have to actually search for some water supply, and they even restrict the total supply of water. Then next is, the more rainwater is used, the less will go into the sewers. That means when the rainfall occurs, if we are storing that water somehow, so the total water which ultimately it goes away, it just flows away, right, without any use, and that gets added in the sewers. So that will be less. Okay, that wastage will be less in that case. And next is, saving water saves money and it helps the environment, no doubt. And the more rainwater is used, the less the need to use chlorinated water or chemically treated tap water. There is saving on water bill also, right, for domestic users. Then not only domestic users, for commercial purpose also we can save a lot by this. Then having a metered water is the best way of appreciating this difference. Okay, this is how we can understand that what is the use of it, what is the value of it. Okay, then next is, what is rain um, next question is, what is a rainwater harvester and how does it work? It is a storage tank usually fitted underground to your downpipes coming from the roof. Rainwater enters the tank through a filter which removes the leaves and other waste matter. Okay, and the system contains a pump which pushes or sucks the rainwater back into the house, where it is delivered to the toilets or the clothes washing machine and all. The tank is placed in the dark and kept oxygenated to prevent the growth of algae. And this filtered, untreated water should not be used for drinking. That should be kept in mind. So, for other purposes, we can easily use that. Then, rainwater harvesters can be installed in houses also, in bungalows, large sheds, or any building with a roof on it to capture the rainwater. So, commercial premises are very suitable as they often have a larger roof and the higher percentage of water use that can be replaced by the rainwater. Okay, next is, what is the importance of rainwater harvesting? Demand for water is increasing day by day because of increasing number of people. The population is increasing very fast, so the demand for water has actually grown a lot because of the increase in population. So to fulfill that demand, somehow we can use this rainwater harvesting. It is going to help. Then till now, where you can say, in the various water bodies actually are in the present days, these are getting disappeared. Okay, disappeared means these are the misuse of water is being done, and the lot of pollutants are being added in the rivers and all. So ultimately, the water which is there, like in the rivers and all, or in open, that is almost all polluted water, right? And the groundwater is being extracted as a result of that, more and more and more. And ultimately, the water table is going down. Okay. So, what is the result of it? We need to recharge that groundwater table on one side. Number two, to fulfill the various demands, we can use this water for in just instead of using it for drinking, other uses we can have by this. Okay, so in this way, we can say that rainwater harvesting is very much in use, right? And it is actually, the importance of it has increased a lot these days, right? We have started using it a lot, but still we need to do it a lot more. Okay, then next is, the earlier use of rainwater and flood water has declined. In its place, an ever-growing reliance on river water and groundwater has arisen. So this has led to such large-scale extraction of groundwater. And if we use this method, by this, the extraction of groundwater will be less. Large dams are constructed to store water and canals constructed to distribute the water from the dams. So the former has caused large scale displacement of communities, okay, and ecological havoc, while the latter has brought large scale degradation of land due to soil salination, due to water logging and all. So water availability, both in terms of quality and quantity, has declined to such an extent that many parts of India face a drought-like situation. So, as a solution of all these problems, we can have the rainwater harvesting. Okay, answer for everything. Then name two methods of water harvesting in India and mention any two objectives of rainwater harvesting. Number one method is collecting of rainwater on the rooftop and directing it to any tank. Then watershed, which is defined as a geographic area through which water flows across the land and drains into common body of water, such as stream, river, lake, ocean, etc. That is also one of the methods of rainwater harvesting. Next is what are the main objectives of it? The main objectives of rainwater harvesting include, number one is that to avoid flooding of roads. Okay, the rainwater goes waste, it flows away. So to avoid that wastage, then the groundwater table needs to be actually recharged. Okay, so all these are the main objectives of it. Next is mention any three harvesting systems, water harvesting systems practiced in India. The first one is simplest rainwater harvesting technique is the check dam. Okay, it is a small barrier built across streams and they store water during the monsoons, which can then be used for irrigation purpose. So that is the first method. Okay. Next is another rainwater harvesting technique is the storage tank kept underground and connected to the pipe coming down from the roof. So in that tank, the filter is actually attached at the, you can say, one end of the pipe. And through that, water comes down. And in this way, the any leaves or any unwanted matter which is actually coming along with water, that is just filtered at that level. Okay. Now, this water which is actually collected, this water is used for different purposes, and the system contains a pump which pushes or it provides the rainwater back into the house, which is then delivered to the washrooms and the toilets and garden and washing clothes and all. Okay. Then another thing is another rainwater collection system is the groundwater saver diverter. Okay. It is a downspout rainwater diverter which simplifies the collection of rainwater. So it has advantages over other rainwater collection systems in that it installs in minutes and again deactivates in seconds, which we discussed in the earlier part. Okay. So these are the different methods. Then next question is give geographical reasons for the following. Number one is give two main reasons why water scarcity occurs in India. For that, the basic reason is seasonal rainfall. Because the rainfall which we get, it's not a constant rainfall throughout the year. It's not distributed, but it is just limited to a particular season. And this is one of the reasons for that. Number two is that more demand due to increase in population and a lot of water body which is actually there that is polluted. So this is again one reason behind that, right? Why we are having the water scarcity, which is being faced by us in India. Okay. Next is irrigation is necessary despite the monsoons. This is again one important question for you. Indian monsoons are most uncertain, unreliable, and these are unpredictable. Okay, any time they can, when it comes, which area is going to get rains, which area is going to get less rain, which is going to get more rain, that is totally uncertain. The for what period it's going to actually cause rainfall in any region, That is again totally unpredictable. Okay, it is totally uncertain that the amount of rainfall, how much it is going to cause. So the nature of monsoon is totally uncertain, and this is the only the major source. Not we cannot say that it is the only source, but yes, it is the major source of rainfall. Okay, so late arrival or early withdrawal of the monsoon affects crop production severely. And for to sort out this problem, only irrigation can provide security to agriculture from such irregularity. Okay, next is the drip method. Drip method is one of the modern methods of irrigation. Okay, so drip method of irrigation does not involve, actually, it is the best among all modern methods of irrigation. Or you can say out of all the different methods of irrigation, drip method is considered as the best. And for that, the reason is that it does not involve any loss of water by seepage or by evaporation, both ways. The loss of water is minimum. Okay, because water is supplied through pipes, so no loss of water by evaporation. Okay, and moreover, the because it is directly coming to the roots. Okay, so no seepage is there and no evaporation is there in both cases, right? So that is why it is considered that and even the wastage of water in general, if you see, if we provide irrigation, it's not directly going to the crops. Okay, it is going to be there in the entire field. But here, we when we use this drip method of irrigation, the pipes are actually providing water directly to that crop. So minimum wastage of water and full efficiency, you can say the maximum efficiency is in this method. Okay, water is fully utilized in a proper way. Then canal irrigation leads to the ground around it becoming unproductive. Just now in the earlier part we discussed, excessive flow of water in the fields raises the ground's water level, and capillary action brings alkaline salts to the surface and makes large areas unfit for agriculture. Right? This is one big reason for causing a vast area getting developed into infertile land. Okay. Give three reasons for conservation of water resources. Why it is required. Conservation of water resources has become essential due to number one, increase in population with the progress of time results in water scarcity. Number two, because all the people need a lot of water, right? So fulfill that demand. It is actually the conservation is required. Then number two is that our water resources like river, lakes, etc. are getting polluted day by day a lot, and their water can hardly be used without proper treatment. So this is again one reason. Number three is that the water demand for industrial use will increase day by day as the number of industries are growing very fast. So naturally the demand that side will also increase, right? And moreover, the water for irrigation is already a big, you can say, an important area where water is required a lot. So for all these things, we need to conserve water resources. Okay. Then next is irrigation is very necessary for solving the food problem. Agricultural crops are varied. Okay. Ample supply of water is required during the period of growth. So naturally, it is going to solve the food problem. Next, peninsular India is an ideal region for constructing tanks. Why? South India is very favorable for tanks, or the peninsular region is very favorable for it, as there are a number of natural depressions in the rocky surface. So these natural depressions get filled with water and that work as a tank. Number two is that the underlying rocks of the southern plateau are hard, impervious, which check the percolation of water. Okay, that is again one important thing for tank irrigation. Then next is rivers of peninsular India flow through narrow gorges where it is quite easy, okay, to construct dams across the river channels for impounding the water. Next is besides the surface is hard, slopy, making it difficult to construct well or canals. because that entire area is the rocky surface is there. So we cannot develop any other means of irrigation. So that is why tank irrigation is considered the best means of irrigation. Next is irrigation arrangements are no less important in areas of heavy rainfall in India. So for this, first point can be Indian rainfall is periodic. Okay, most of the rain falls in 4 months from June to September. The remaining 8 months are almost dry, right? Next is rainfall is not well distributed during the rainy season also. So during the 4 months of the monsoon, there are several dry spells in between. So to actually get rid of this dry period or dry spell, actually to sort out this problem, we need to develop the irrigation arrangements need to be provided there. Okay. Next is differentiate between. Number one is differentiate between the Indo-Gangetic plains and Deccan. We are actually going to compare the irrigation. Okay, the advantages, geographical advantages for irrigation does Indo-Gangetic plains have over the Deccan region or the peninsular region. So number one is that a number of perennial rivers are fed by the melting snow, which are present in the northern plains, while rivers are seasonal depending on the monsoons in the Deccan region. Number two, the surface is flat and soft soil is there in the northern plains, while the surface is quite hard, rocky in the Deccan region. Next distinguishes between inundation canals and perennial canals. Okay. Now, inundation canals, as we discussed in the earlier part, inundation canals are taken out from the rivers without constructing dams, barrage, or embankments. So generally, they carry flood water. Okay, while perennial canals are taken out from the rivers or reservoirs by constructing dams or barrages. Right, there is a constant supply of water in that. So inundation canals are full of water only in the rainy season or when the rain is in flood, while perennial canals have water throughout the year as the water is stored behind in the dam. So that is why the perennial canals are considered as more reliable than the inundation canals. Okay, next is name the following, name the state which leads in irrigation by wells in India. The state number one position of is actually that of Uttar Pradesh. Number two, the second question is name the types of irrigation prevailing in India. The prevalent types of irrigation prevailing actually present in India are number one is wells, ordinary as well as tube wells, then tank irrigation, then canal irrigation. Okay, these all are the various means of irrigation. Next is name the two types of irrigation canals. Just now we discussed inundation and perennial canals, right? Now at the end, let's go through a few MCQs from the chapter, right? Number one, irrigation is necessary in India because rivers are perennial, rainfall is only for 3 to 4 months. Number three, all crops require water. And number four, sometimes there is a drought. Answer is number two. Rainfall is only for 3 to 4 months in a year. So for crops to grow, water is required. Okay, this is the correct answer. Second question is canal irrigation is more popular in northern India because first, canals are cheap to build. In North India, the surface is porous, rivers are perennial, and North India has a good network of canal systems. Now, the answer here, the most suitable answer is going to be number three. Rivers are perennial, by which all these canals are taken out. Okay, canal irrigation has enabled dash and dash to be called the granary of the country. Which two states? And out of all these states, Punjab and Haryana, that is number three. Third option is the correct answer. Right? Next is the water which gets collected under the surface of land is known as surface water. Then number two is aquifer, number three groundwater, and saline water. Number three is the correct answer, groundwater. Okay. Primary source of water is lakes, rivers, groundwater, rain. Rain is the correct answer, right? Then next is well irrigation is confined mainly to the alluvial plains because number one, it is a cheap, simple, and dependable source of irrigation. Number two, owing to the soft nature of soil, wells can be easily dug. Number three, more farmers own agricultural land. Number four, yield of the crops is quite high. And in this, the correct answer is number two. Owing to the soft nature of the soil, wells can be easily dug. Okay. Next is the ideal conditions for the drilling of tube wells are number one, availability of plentiful water at great depths. Number two, small area to be irrigated. Number three, petroleum or diesel availability. Number four, farmer must own his land. And for that, the first option is the most appropriate, that is availability of plentiful water at great depths. Okay. Next is inundation canals have limited use because no barrage or dam is constructed. They use excess water of the river. Water is brackish in them and they get supply of water only when the rivers are in flood. So the best answer is going to be the fourth one. They get supply of water only when the rivers are in flood. Okay. Then next question is tank irrigation is very popular in peninsular India, northern plains of India, high uplands, and northwestern India. So the answer is peninsular India. Okay. Then next is drawback of modern irrigation methods. Uneven distribution of water, expensive method of irrigation, limited use, loss of water. These are the options. And the correct answer is going to be the second one, that is expensive method of irrigation. Okay, so these are the questions and just it is covering this video is covering one chapter, that is the water resources. Okay, and it may happen like in this also all the different topics have not been actually fully covered, but I the maximum part of it has been covered. And you can say if once you prepare this chapter and go through all these questions, you are going to revise the chapter very well. And moreover, the MCQs afterwards, which I will provide, that also will be a quick you can say revision of the chapter. You can easily brush up the entire chapter very fast before going for the board exams. Okay, so that's all for today. And till the time we meet again, I expect you all to go through this video, right? And share this video with your friends and classmates and try to get the maximum benefit of it. Okay, right? And this is just a beginning. I am going to provide a few more questions, a few more videos, having all the important questions from the different chapters. Okay, so again, before leaving, don't forget to share this with your friends and classmates. Okay, and also subscribe the channel, right? So see you soon again in the next video. Till then, so see you soon again in the next video. Till then, bye.